Introduction to the Reactor and Buff Lab. Now, what is the reactor and buff lab? The reactor is used to create energy, or nuclear energy. This energy can be used in many different ways. Now, one is to upgrade weapons. Another is to buy other items for the reactor to use to get Einsteinium. And then another way is to buy buffs in the buff lab. Now, the buff lab uses the energy that is created from the reactor to enforce long periods of buffs. These buffs make the game faster and easier to the player. Now, the reactor has many different elements to it. One is the fuel rods. These are used to create energy. Next are batteries. These are used to store energy and is the capacity limit of energy. Now, fans. These are used to cool down fuel rods and neutron bombardments. Otherwise, nothing will happen. I'll show you how this works later. Ducts. These are just used to connect fans together. Buffs. These are used to buff fans and batteries. And neutron bombardments. These are used to create Einsteinium. Okay, so we can find the reactor at around, on World 2, kilometers 101 to 102, and then the buff lab will be 103 kilometers. So once you go into the reactor, this is level 4 reactor, but you'll start off with a smaller amount of slots. You'll only start by 3x3, so 9 total slots. Every time you can upgrade your reactor and it'll give you more slots to use. Look at different parts of the reactor. Now, starting off with the fuel rods, there are lots of different fuel rods, and all of these are used to increase energy. And to buy these, the ingredients, as you can tell on the list, are all different types of isotopes. And this is the reason why you want to save your isotopes, is for this specific reason in getting energy. Now, the ones I use most are red, because it's the cheapest. The only liability is that the total duration is very low compared to all the rest. As you can tell, they're all higher. As you increase down, the total duration increases. But these are just cheaper in ingredients. I mean, you can kind of tell. The next part is the fans. Now, these fans cool a fuel rod, reducing its heat. As if you look at a fuel rod, there's this heat. So this means that I have 24 seconds, which are 2 fans. I need 2 fans connected to this for it to actually produce energy. Otherwise, nothing will happen. And if I go lower, here, if I do the quad red, I'll need 15 fans connected. And to connect 15 fans, I'll need ducts, which just connects ducts, fans, and fuel rods together, so I can actually produce energy with these quad types of fuel rods. Now, these batteries just store a certain amount of energy, and these use lots and lots of magnesium, so I would really just save up on magnesium. Next are some buffs. These buffs really just boost component above and below it by 55%. And then these arrows are pointing to the direction of where the component is that it will be buffed. And then lastly, the neutron bombardment. Each of these produce a different type of Einsteinium. This is Einsteinium 1, this is Einsteinium 2, this is Einsteinium 3. I haven't unlocked this one yet though. But all you have to do is you buy it here. It's like very similar to the fuel rod. You have a heat capacity, but instead it will use energy. So you have to have energy in the capacity for it to be to use, or you'll need a fuel rod alongside of it, so you can actually use this bombardment to actually produce Einsteinium. As you look at this reactor here, you can tell these fans are all connected by these heat ducts. Because I have this quad, I need 15 fans, which you can count. There's not 15, I think there's less, but I have these buffs to boost these fans, so it counts to 15. Now I have all these batteries as well with these more buffs to increase it. And then here's uranium fuel rod, which just gives me this energy. Next is the buff lab. Now there are many buffs. One of the most important ones is the miner speed potion, and it is used to increase miner speed. Pretty self-explanatory. All of these are pretty self-explanatory, but the next one is drill speed potion. Used to increase drill speed. Negative attraction. The buff is used to increase the money found in chests. Elemental pike. This buff is used to increase the amount of isotopes mined. Cargo expansion, used to increase the resource capacity. And endless gem speed potion, buff is used to increase the speed in making gems. All of these are also relics. So besides negative attraction, the other 5 are additional relics you can have. Now we can go to buff lab. Now in this buff lab, you can tell, here is all 6 of the buffs that I talked about earlier. You can upgrade. Now, each one has a certain amount of time. So this one only requires 9,000 energy, but it's only for 5 minutes. Then you can go further to the right, and you'll need more energy, but it'll produce even more time. So I have these actually right now. So right now I'm gonna get more drill speed. 1208 minutes for 100%. I'm gonna do this. It's 1.6 million energy. I already have 2 mil, so I can do it. And look, as you can tell, I have 26 hours of this time lapse right now, which is very helpful. This kilometer depth decreases a lot. It doesn't take as long for it to go down. That's practically it. You can upgrade these items in the deep moon portion of structures. The buff lab upgrades give you a discount on amount of energy that you need for each buff, and then the reactor upgrades increases the grid cells, so you can have more components.